Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David, and I am actually flying solo today. The Darth is off. He's been quite busy this weekend, so wasn't able to get around. So you can all just message us on Facebook and tell him how terrible he is. No, I'm just kidding. He'll be back next week, and we'll continue on with all of our great conversations. Before I do get into the episode, though, special shout out to Chase and Michelle. Congratulations on your baby boy. Hope everything is going well with you guys. I'm sure it is, but congratulations. All right. So this week we are going to go over episode 10 of Bad Batch, Common Ground, and then we are going to roll through the 13th issue of the Darth Vader comic and the 14th issue of the mainline Star Wars comic. This is still following this War of the Bounty Hunters, and I don't know how much everybody's really excited about this. I will say it's been kind of cool because the Rising Storm has had quite a few people on Twitter kind of talking about it. So I think that's pretty cool. One of the things that both me and the Darth had pointed out several times is that we're not really seeing a lot of the comic stuff pop off or books really being talked about High Republic as much. And it just seems like for the Rising Storm, more people seem to be interested in it. And if everything goes according to plan, we should be going through Rising Storm next week, which I'm really excited. I know we've both been really excited to get into this this particular book. Excuse me, which should be focused. I think this one is focused around Stellan Gios, if I remember correctly. Let me actually look that up because my brain, It freezes sometimes. So the Rising Storm. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure this is Stellan Gios here. So one of the things we've seen of our Chris. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So we should actually get some story on Stellan. So we've seen quite a bit about of our Chris. We've also had Elzar Mann, and it seems like this trio is really kind of like core Jedi right now. And Avar is crazy, interesting because of her ability to kind of orchestrate this like Force symphony. We see her in some of the battles, directing everyone through the Force, like a true general. Elzar seems to be a little bit more of the experimenter, I guess. Hey, yeah, let's just create a storm so I can like cool off this machine. Just things like that. Pushing the boundaries of the Force, which I think is really cool. Now, Gios, we only hear bits and bobs about, but there was the kind of one part when Avar was reaching out for energy, right? When the Legacy Run disaster was happening. And we get this little blurb about her feeling from a long way away, Gios lending energy. So this is potentially someone who might be quite powerful, might have a very interesting story. I'm hoping that there is a really interesting story in here. And this is authored by Cavan Scott, who is very well known within the Star Wars universe, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm cautiously optimistic. High Republic has been it's been okay. I can't say that I've been overly impressed with High Republic, but it's been okay. So here's looking forward to that book, and of course the future too. I hope that the future is bright for High Republic. But yeah, that's should be coming up next week if everything works perfectly. And to all of our American listeners, happy 4th of July, Independence Day technically I'm doing a quick record on this on July 4th, just so that I can get it out tomorrow. So happy Independence Day to all my American, brethren. So hopefully you guys had a good weekend and are remembering the reason for the season. But yeah, aside from that, this past week has been okay. I've been taking a little bit of time off here and there, trying to indulge in projects. Been doing some some nerdy circuitry work for guitar pedals, which has been kind of fun just to toy around. I actually finished one of my sort of first mods, which is on a fuzz face. And boy, oh boy, I thought I screwed it up. And then all of a sudden I realized one of the modifications was a master voltage, which just means you can dictate how much voltage is hitting the circuit. And that can create some interesting breakup. But I had it turned all the way down. So I plugged it in and nothing happened. Oh man! Once I figured that out, I was very happy because it worked. It worked beautifully. I'm very happy with that particular pedal. So yeah, I've just been doing that and trying to complete little projects, doing some hiking. Me and the Darth have progressively talked about hiking, and then it always seems like something comes up whenever we want to go. But I have done some short trails and so forth, which has been very nice. Still looking forward to some longer backpacking trips as the season goes by. We've been having a pretty hot summer here, but there just been some really beautiful days, and it's been really nice. And hopefully you guys are enjoying your summer and kind of getting back out there and hopefully hitting some normal. I know in the state of Ohio we've pretty much, I don't know, by and large, gotten back to normal. We're starting a kind of a run of rotations back into my office building. So we'll be starting that up, which will be interesting for people. But a lot more people on the road. A lot of people are getting back in, I think, and getting into the normal flow. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to kind of kicking this whole pandemic to the back and hopefully leaving it in our proverbial dust, because I think it's been a huge drain on all of us. It's definitely not been a very good year and a half really so far, seeing as it's crazy we're in July already. But yeah, let's talk about nicer things. I think we'll start with the comics first, and then we will roll into Bad Batch. So the order will be the Star Wars mainline issue 14 first. Now, as we've been kind of talking about this series, the story is that Boba Fett was taking Han to Jabba, and he kind of makes some pit stops and basically loses Han, who's frozen in carbonite. And he was taken by Crimson Dawn, and we have the reintroduction of Kira, who we see from the Solo movie, which I thought was pretty interesting. Now, in our main Star Wars line, we are picking back up with Luke and Chewie, Leia, and Leia gets a message. From Holdo. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, but she gets a message from her old friend Holdo, who, Star Wars universe is pretty tough on her. I can't necessarily. I don't mind her portrayals in the books. What was it? Was it Bloodlines, or was it Leia, Princess of Alderaan? It was one of the books where Holdo was in there, but she's been a friend of Leia, I think since they were kids. Not a bad character, just a little eccentric. I just didn't really care for the portrayal in the movie in Last Jedi. I thought that the kind of, I don't know, just the attitude with Poe and everything. It just seemed a little bit odd to me. I know a lot of people could, tear Last Jedi apart. There are definitely sections of that movie that I do like. But Last Jedi made Holdo a very kind of polarizing polarizing character, I guess you could say. But she's not really a big part of this. She just she is out and figures out, kind of where Han is, and leaves this message with Leia. But we obsess over tie-ins and everything, so I'm sure there's some people that won't won't want to see her very briefly in there, but she is in there. And I do find it interesting here that Leia, Luke makes a comment. I'm trying to find exactly where he said this. Maybe I won't be able to find it, but okay, yeah, you act the same, say the same things, work to inspire us and keep fighting, but your words used to come from your heart. Now they just come from your head. I can sense it. And Leia brings up it's crazy how long ago this seems, but where she was sort of held with a knife to her throat and she feels hopeless. And I think that this might be, leading into her path to her Jedi training with Luke. And I don't know if they will specifically mention that in this main line here. Obviously, it was made known in the movie in our last movie, sequel movie. So I think that maybe I'm wondering if her hopelessness is Han, or losing Han, or if it is not really having the connection to the Force and the Force kind of pulling to her, calling to her or something. In old legends, we have a lot of stories of Leia using her Force abilities and having that connection and meditating and trying to get better at it. And I just think that that's something really cool. I think it's hard to do in movies, and basically all we got was her Superman flying through space. But I do feel that Leia deserved, I think, a better. Well, we also got her it's sort of choppy, because in our last sequel movie, she had Carrie Fisher had unfortunately passed away. And JJ just had to stitch in previous footage of her. So she did train Rey, but it was more implied than shown, because they couldn't. They couldn't physically do anything more with what they had. It's just difficult. I think it's difficult. But I just wish we would have had a little bit more. Anyway, that's that is what it is, and I think that I wish that we had more either literature or something cinematic of the time between episode 6 and Force Awakens. Follow Luke on his journeys and maybe follow Leia in her training or whatever. But again, I'm getting out of the comic, and so let's continue here. We do pick up with Lando, and they do make a couple casual references to some of the stuff in Solo. Not a ton, though. Nowhere in here does Chewie or Lando mention Kira. They don't mention that particular relationship, and I'm wondering if it'll come up and be like, well, yeah, that used to be Han's old girl, or something like that, or maybe they just won't. But Lando does mention, Kessel, and makes me think about L3. So that was kind of funny, giving a little throwback to L3. And it was actually last week I watched Solo, so that's pretty fresh in my mind. Now, the other thing here is that Lando is attempting to make, some side deals. And if you remember way back, that the droid that, what was the stupid language that 3PO had to get from him? It doesn't really matter. It's so far gone that it's so far out of my mind. It's ridiculous. But that droid had made the connection with Lobot and darn near fried his brain. Well, Lando is, oh yeah, there it is, Thrawak, the Thrawak language. So Lando is basically turning this droid over to Jabba. And we get a little bit here with Lobot sort of popping back. This droid is still able to push back Lobot's implants to get to the actual human. But, unfortunately, not much they can do. The droid's already been blasted out of the airlock. They can't go back and get him. So, Lando's like, we'll do something. But he was going to try and get Chewie to roundabout back and see if they couldn't get him. And they didn't. So anyway, Leia, Chewie, Lando, C-3PO are on their way to this meeting location where, Han is effectively looking to be sold, I believe. And they show up sort of on the outskirts, but they also, as they're sitting there, another ship materializes from the black sun, and they almost run into them. So like another goofy hyperspace thing. And they're brought down on the planet. Chewie does a rough landing and, close enough to where they're going, but they have to effectively pick up on foot. And it looks like, looks like the Falcon's going to have some trouble. So that's basically the end of that issue. Let's move into Vader. So this is Vader 13. Me and the Darth have both really not enjoyed this Vader comic. I mean, after sort of the beginning. And I think one of the things that the Darth was particularly not interested in were it was all these flashbacks. Now, I don't necessarily mind them as much, but they're not great. And this comic starts right back up with flashbacks. I'm going to kill the things that Luke loves because that's what I'm doing now. Great. So, Vader goes to, what was this? Boku, the buff hut with the 2, 4, 6, 8, like 10 pack. It looks ridiculous. I mean, it's a buff hut. I mean, what in the anime is this? So anyway, Vader basically, in quotations, makes a deal with Boku where were they going? What planet? Well, they were going into hut space, basically. And again, like Vader, like everyone else, is after Solo. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But on their way, they go to this colony, and as Vader's Imperial shuttle is leaving Boku's ship, it is sabotaged and goes down. Now, I'm gonna kind of run through this a little bit quicker because it's not crazy interesting to me. But we do see IG-88, and IG-88 has a control panel that is controlling Vader's implants, his mechanical parts. Vader, by using the Force, does snatch the control panel and turns it off, and then he blows IG-88's head off. I just, so you're telling me that Vader, you could potentially hack his mechanical parts and turn him effectively against himself? I don't know if I like that or not. I don't know if I like that or not. No, I don't like that. I really don't. I feel like Vader, I feel like you're getting more into the space wizard aspect of it, and Vader should have more control over his body just by, being a Sith, being a Force wielder. and the mechanical parts are just supplementary to him. Hackable limbs. I mean, granted, Vader was really messed up, and he got messed up again by the Emperor with this whole Exegol crap. So, yeah, you would probably have to have more of a computer. My God, what would happen to all these mechanical people if like an EMP ever went off? Have we ever thought about that? I mean, I assume there's some like space shielding. You know? Yeah, that was a little bit meh, but Vader handles that pretty quickly, so we move on. And then Vader learns about Crimson Dawn. And Boku sort of bows to Vader, the buff Hutt. It's like, oh yeah, Vader cannot be defeated. And then magically, IG-88 is fine. He blew his head off, but he's cool. He's back in full capacity as he is meeting with the person who gave him the job. And it winds up being Administrator Moore, the Umbaran, who was, kind of a longtime counsel to Palpatine. So Moore has like a council of her own with a Twi'lek and a human and some guy with a mask and a Trandoshan. The Order of the Purple Stone Robe Wearer people. I mean, what the hell is this? Sorry, I don't mean to be hypercritical. I think it makes sense. In later literature, we never really hear about Moore. Now, Masameda, on the other hand, we do. And like in Aftermath, he winds up being kind of a pivotal part of a symbolic surrender of the Empire. He becomes a symbolic scapegoat. But Moore, I don't remember any other literature. To be honest, I always thought that she was sort of more of a super minor character. I mean, she was in the movies. She was in the prequels. Yeah, she wore that giant blue robe thing and was bald. But it makes sense. I mean, you create a little bit more intrigue for a minor character that's probably going to be knocked off, I would assume. And I think that the biggest thing is this a further Palpatine plot, or is it just more on her own? And I think that remains to be seen. And I've already told you, and the Darth has also expressed this as well, we don't really like this arc of like Vader going to Exegol and realizing that the Emperor is unbeatable and all this stuff. It's like, where is the turn? I think this comic missed the perfect opportunity to really explore why or how Luke gets through to Vader. I think you missed an opportunity to see more of Anakin in Vader. I think you could have done something really, really interesting with this time period where instead of just one word Vader, you have more inner monologue. Like you actually see the man behind the machine. And instead, what we get is Exegol, which I don't think Vader should have ever learned about. I just don't. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good plot device. I just think it's dumb. We get this Uchi bounty hunter guy who I don't care about, and now we have another Target Vader. I mean, Target Vader was Valance and the bounty hunters trying to kill Vader, and now we have a new Target Vader within Darth Vader. I just feel like this particular line is really missing the point. But hey, I mean, it is what it is. I hope that you guys actually do enjoy it. I enjoy reading them. I just don't always enjoy the routes that they go. I think that the main Star Wars line was far more interesting. But the main Star Wars line is like crazy slow. It feels really it feels like, well, yeah, we had to tie everything in this War of the Bounty Hunters, but we gotta wait. We gotta wait for all the other ones to catch up. So yeah, I mean, but I don't know. It is good to see Luke though. It is good to see Luke out and doing things, and Leia as well. I think that they've just done a lot better job in the main Star Wars line of talking about the sort of some of the internal struggle that these characters are going through, because we have we have the whole arc with the Damerons, Poe's parents, who and I apologize, I'm just terrible with names, but the mother, she is trapped on an Imperial ship, and the father's on the ship with Leia, and they're both there. Everybody's worried about each other, and I think that's really present. And then even Leia, I actually think this main Star Wars line should focus more around Leia and why she feels hopeless, because the whole thing is Leia, and we've seen this in the movies, we've seen it all over the place. I mean, like, she is an action. She's like a go-getter. She's not a weak little princess. Granted, she's, very pretty young, during the events, early events of all this. But the fact is that she is a doer. She's not a stand back and lead. I mean, she's a leader, but she's a leader by doing, which is precisely what rebellions need, especially when you're up against such formidable odds. And I've always liked that about Leia. I've always liked that go-getter personality, the lead by example. I think that it's really, really good. But now we get to see a little bit more vulnerable Leia, someone who obviously is in love with Han, but she's losing a bit of her heart in the rebellion, and she was attacked, and she was finally bested, basically. Because when you think about it, Leia's been captured, but when she fights, she fights. When she's able to pick up a blaster and she has her friends there, it's like I mean, she's usually okay in the long run. But at this point, you have a one-on-one with a superior opponent, and she doesn't have the skill to overcome it. Whereas, maybe if we talk about Han might not be the best fighter, but he has well, he has luck. He has guile, he has skill, he has courage, and he fights like a rabid animal, when he's cornered. Luke, on the other hand, is very much more skilled, as he has had some training as a Jedi, and he has the Force as an ally. So for me, Leia, at this point, we're learning that she could be bested. And again, I think if we explore that sort of hopelessness, maybe it leads us to her decision to train to be a Jedi and take the Force in, so that the Force is her ally as well. And so she doesn't have to rely as much on her friends, which I think is far more valuable to her as we go along. I really do. And you could even tie, some of that into her political career later, which they have. And anyway, I think that you could really explore a ton about Leia. But man, oh man, I want a series on Luke. Post 6. I want a whole big thing about what Luke does, after 6, before the temple, going out there and doing like Jedi Crusade stuff. I think that would be really cool. But I mean, Disney's doing its thing, and we had. Let me actually see if I can pick up some of the maybe stills. So there was a There was a trailer that came out here recently for Star Wars Visions. And it looks like the first episode of Visions is going to be on September 22nd. And there will be nine episodes. And I'll be honest, I don't know enough about anime. You know, the Darth probably would be able to, you know, like maybe pick out some of these studios or production companies that are doing this, because apparently they're like leaders, you know, in their particular whatever, their field. So the first episode, The Duel, is from Kamikaze. God, I'm trying to Midwest twang it. Kamikaze Duga, who responsible for JoJo's Bizarre. I can't even talk. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which I've heard of. I guess a couple of other things. Geno Studios. You guys are probably, some of you might know what most of these are. When I don't, I have legitimately no idea about any of their projects, so I'm sure they're super cool. Studio Colorido. I'm just kind of really quickly looking up some of these to see if I can figure out what the heck they've done. Okay, well, they've done some films. I don't know any of those. I don't know any of this stuff. Studio Trigger. Dude, you got to give me one of these that I at least know something of what they do. Nope. I don't recognize any of those things that they've done. Kinema Citrus. Let's see who these are. Dude, if there are any weebs in the chat, like there's no chat. If there are any anime lovers that, oh wow, these guys have done a lot of stuff. I don't know any of it. But if any of you know any of this stuff, we'd love to hear from you. Just hit us up, Facebook, Twitter, @TC Plan Podcast, or just send us an email. I would actually, I'm actually interested if any of you are interested in Visions. I really don't know. I'm not sure if it's anything that's really going to be interesting to me. I mean, we'll watch it, I guess. But I'm not a big anime guy. But if any of you have any strong opinions about the Visions, let us know. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I mean it's wild. I don't know any of this stuff. It's like most of these things I'm sure have their followings, but they're not popular enough for it to pop up on my limited radar. Oh wow. Oh, okay. Well, this Production IG, they have some stuff in here. I mean, at least like I can kind of understand some of these things. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. I mean, at least no Ghost in the Shell. They've done a lot. This is a long list. Gosh, I feel really bad. I don't know any of these. A couple of Ghost in the Shell things. Yeah, I don't know. Do I really need to know about anime? Oh, they've done a lot though. So I don't know. Maybe these folks will put out some good stuff. But anyway, so we have some of this Visions, and like I said, there was a trailer. I'm not 100% sure about this because like I see some of the stills and it looks like there is some Saber-esque stuff. I'm actually just gonna try and pull up the actual trailer and I'll just vaguely watch it as I'm talking about it. But Oh yeah, I mean after we play an ad because that's what we all need here. More ads. So there we go. Okay. Let's pop into this trailer here. But it does look like some of the saber stuff looks like they're actually making it more sword like. I mean, Japanese, sword thing, so I get it. Definitely utilizing a lot more. Oh, there's like Jabba the Hutt. Interesting. Who's looking super lumpy. The Some of the set stuff is or at least the backdrops definitely Eastern influence, which is kind of interesting. Um yeah, it is a fascinating blend because they do. That guy looks pretty cool. Everything flashes by so darn quick. It's like I gotta be I gotta be I gotta be quick on it. We do have one frame here that I've seen a couple stills of. Now they are kind of looking like they're trying to cross Jedi robes with like more like older style Japanese robes, a little bit more flowy. Um, but we have kind of it almost looks like a master apprentice thing here, but the older gentleman has two red sabers. So I kind of wonder how they'll incorporate that if it doesn't matter as much, because to us red has always meant Sith, right? Okay. Well, it looks like we might have a little bit of Tatooine here because we have a twin sun planet with a with an X-wing that is nose down in the sand, and a little dude with a little R2 unit. So we might, I don't know, are they going to try and pick up on like a Luke, like actually use current characters, or come up with their own characters? That's what'll be interesting to me. Oh God, there's like a little Krillin looking kid. Oh, a lot of monsters. I'm sorry. I mean, like I think that there was a time when anime could hold some interest, but it's almost to a point. Oh, there's some interesting saber concept things where they're sort of like black with a red outline. Maybe this is like a kind of like a cult thing. I don't know. Like the bad guys. Ooh, okay. Yeah, some very ooh-wooed clothes with bows and stuff. I'm just waiting for the Kingdom Hearts with everything having a zipper on it. Looks like we might also have. Oh my God, it's like an anime rabbit with an umbrella. Oh no. Oh, what is this thing? Oh, oh, the furries are gonna love it. Oh, I mean, it's literally a rabbit. It's got big flappy hair ears and like a tail and literally has like an umbrella. Ew. Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, I don't get that. Well, they do say here one of the stories, a story of a master and a Padawan who meet an unknown enemy. Okay, so it looks like our older guy is an enemy. Maybe he takes out the Padawan. Kind of a cool. I mean, whatever this thing is, I'm kind of down. But like some of this stuff with like a bunny. There's Boba Fett. Like why do we need to incorporate like furries? Sorry to all the furries. I'm sure all the furries listen to our podcast. I mean, there's some interesting designs in there, but this was one that I wasn't overly enthusiastic about. I'm just not an anime guy. I have to come to that sort of realization. But at any rate, yeah. So the Visions trailer's out there, and it looks like we'll be kind of looking through that in September. I mean, some of the conceptualized stuff in here is interesting, but like I said, I don't need that bunny thing. What are we doing? I finally found a slideshow with more of it. So yeah, I mean, some of the stuff looks really cool. Some of it doesn't. But anyway, there we go. So that's Visions. Let's move on. I think we'll pop into the Bad Batch now. And how are you guys liking Bad Batch? I think both me and the Darth were on the same page that it felt like it was starting to turn around for us. This particular episode felt like a bit of an in-betweener. Not much of a mover, but there's been a lot of Omega theories coming out lately. So that's been interesting. Now, we do start with effectively the kind of Imperial takeover here of one of the separatist planets, which I don't remember the name of this planet. I will have to find that out real quick. I'm sure they'll say it. I usually pop up the episode as I'm watching. Let's see if I can just find this particular planet. You know, I really hate the way people write articles. You know, it's all I gotta get out all my cool stuff. I don't really care. I don't care about your crap. Just give me the answer. Raxus. There we go. So we are on the planet Raxus, which was a former separatist planet, and we have I actually looked this up let me go ahead and so we have a new role or a new character here, the Captain Bragg, and she is voiced by Shelby Young. Shelby Young did what was she? I think she was the voice of Leia, if I remember correctly, for the Little Forces of Destiny. Yeah, she was the voice of Leia in the Forces of Destiny series, which was interesting. It was kind of an interesting little tidbit there. But yeah, good voice. I remember seeing some people retweet her stuff, you know, just like being really excited to be part of the Bad Batch, which was pretty cool. Let's see here. So our senator, Avi Singh, is supposed to give a pro-imperial message to his people, and he doesn't, and they take him away. Now his droid does get away and gets a message out to Sid, effectively commissioning the Bad Batch to retrieve the senator. Now, in classic Imperial style, they do bring in the heavies and disperse all of the people that were sort of standing there in the square. The walkers come in, the old Clone War era walkers come in, and this is the firm reality of a lot of what the Empire did at that time. They used high-ranking and respected officials to effectively coerce their people into living or accepting Imperial control. Didn't always work out though, but the Empire was ruthless, and if you didn't go by what they said, you're pretty much dead. Anyway, we pick back up with the Bad Batch, and they're kind of back at Sid's, after completing a mission, and after coming back from their prior mission, we have this stupid Mantrell mix. Is everybody getting their mix? That's got to be at the park, right? Like, this is going to be like, caramel corn or whatever, different colored caramel corn at the park. I mean, it has to be. I mean, it's like, if not, it's an opportunity missed. So the Bad Batch gets the job from Sid, but Hunter wants Omega to sit one out. And I think with everything going on, with everything going on, I and kind of the importance of Omega now, which I think is debatable, I think they do want her to sit out a little bit. So Omega, is not happy about sitting out for the mission, but she stays with Sid on this one. Now, the Bad Batch is also a little bit concerned about like rescuing a separatist senator. I mean, they just literally got done fighting these guys, So it's pretty interesting. So anyway, I guess it kind of splits in here. We'll go over the Bad Batch side first. So as the Bad Batch enters Raxus, they do have a code. They're intercepted by some ships, but they were given the code by the droid. And this droid was okay. Normally I get a little bit annoyed sometimes with Star Wars droids, but this droid like actually wanted to help, not just like didn't just want to be a bot or just wasn't a bother, but actually wanted to help. It was kind of funny, at one point they wanted to use the droid as a distraction, and then the next point the droid was like, "Oh, I know how to do this," and just going forward. So I thought it was kind of funny. Now, all the while, Sid has Omega like cleaning the bar, and I did think it was funny because Chase, buddy Chase over there at These Are the Voyages, a Star Trek podcast that I occasionally go on to. Good stuff over there, by the way. He had texted me. He said, Omega kind of reminds me of Wesley Crusher. And I almost asked him, as like, are we talking about like season 2 PSA Crusher where you got the don't do drugs messages out with him? Or are we talking about like little kid kind of whiny Crusher? Are we talking about like big kid Crusher who's hiding a terrible secret? So we kind of get, Omega's acting like a kid. She's a little upset. She doesn't, she's annoyed. And I think in a way she also feels abandoned. She just sort of becomes a part of the crew and so forth. And even when the Bad Batch is on this mission, there is a section here where Hunter is giving out orders, and he actually mentions Omega. I think it was maybe him and Tech or whatever, but it's like, you and Omega go this way. It's like, well, that would be good if Omega was here. So I think even the Bad Batch is just so used to having her in the unit, which obviously means that at this point she has provided some valuability, I guess, some proven herself to be valuable, which is what I kind of want, because like, to be honest, there's nothing worse than a show or a movie and you have a kid that is just like a constant distraction. You know what I mean? It kind of sucks. It's like a really overly developed trope. And sometimes it's nice to just have the kid and like they just kill it. They just kick butt. And I think Omega is on her way. She still needs some work, but they've given her a weapon. She's proven herself on a few occasions. I just personally think that's pretty good. So anyway, the Bad Batch actually has a fairly easy job of getting to the senator. They're able to take out the captain and everyone. Things do turn a little sour, but then we have to check back in with Omega, who apparently is a strategic mastermind. She is a strategic mastermind. we have this. I don't remember what this game is called, but we see Chewie playing it on the Falcon all the time, and it's good to let the Wookiee win. Anyway, Omega helps Sid win a match, and this kind of becomes a bit of a point at the end, but it brings up an interesting question. So we've already identified Omega as, like Gen 1, potentially on par with more of what maybe Boba Fett would be. And we're thinking that the Kaminoans are attempting to use Omega maybe to start a whole new clone generation, maybe. I think there's more to it than that, personally, because, let's just be honest, that would be super boring. And we discussed that almost ad nauseum in our last episode. It just doesn't make enough sense that's her only thing. They're just trying to get her back so they can make an all new clone army. That's just not interesting, like, at all. So I think I hope that there's something more to it. But the other thing we haven't addressed is she aging at a normal rate like Boba would? Or is she going to have any more advanced aging? We haven't really seen that yet. How old really is Omega? You know what I mean? What was she really like? Was she ever a kid? It also throws in relief that are we going to have like a young Boba meet her? And I it'd be hard for me to really come up with that timeline, but I would assume that at least chronologically, Boba would seem older at this point. But anyway, it does raise some questions. And I really hope that there's more to Omega than just being, basically like a Gen 1. And that the Kaminoans just want to create more clones based off of her. I think that's dumb. Because, I don't know, even with that, they'd have the same problem later on down the road. I think we'll get more. Anyway, Bad Batch's plan to get the Senator out does take a few left turns. They do have to disable some clones. Their weapons are set on stun. Basically, I don't think that there was a time in this entire episode where they had their weapons on fire. I think that they were just on stun like the entire time, which I found kind of interesting. It didn't really seem like they had many qualms about potentially killing other clones. And now all of a sudden they're on stun. They're getting shot at. The clones are trying to kill them. That's just how it works. But they're now trying to be nice about it. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. But okay. It's nice of them, I guess. They do steal a walker. That doesn't work out too much. But they are able to, basically blast a hole through a wall and kind of escape out and get back to their ship. So not, I don't know, not much there. It kind of seemed a little bit more cut and dry, honestly, than anything. It was a little surprising at how easy it was for them to extricate the Senator. And again, they take him with them, and there you go. And upon arriving back to home base, they see Omega effectively looks like she's kicking Thrawn's butt. Just kidding. I'm wondering if this guy is a Chiss, though. I don't know. I didn't really pay much attention. He is blue, but he has some yellow facial markings, so I don't know, man. Omega, the master of strategy. And she's basically paid off the Bad Batch's debt to Sid. through her gambling. Yeah. So now they don't have any debt. And again, it is kind of funny. We made mention of this too, that the first person that Omega goes up to is Wrecker. She basically, like a little kid, hops right into his arms. This is, we kind of talked about like the potential for like Dad and all of her weird uncles, but in this particular instance, I don't know. I think that Wrecker seems to be. I think her reaction to Hunter is definitely more like a father, and maybe Wrecker's like just the favorite uncle. But she always like beelines straight to Wrecker. And maybe it's more like, my fun uncle and then my very strict father type of dynamic. I don't know. It's a funny sort of thing. She still doesn't react much to Echo and Tech. Anyway, we end the episode on Omega and Hunter playing this game, but we don't really see who wins. So I'm actually wondering if that will come up in the next episode. Like, she cleaned me out. But yeah, obviously Omega has been bred with much more. And I'm kind of wondering if any of that was put into Boba. Like, can Boba just win this game against anybody? Or, again, leading to Omega being more, was she given more? I think that actually might be the case, but we'll have to see. Now, another interesting theory that people are going on, I feel like we talked about this a little bit prior, but the whole potential for Omega to effectively be like kind of the precursor to, like the Snoke clones. It's not out of the realm of possibility, folks. We really don't know enough about the Emperor's sort of cloning process to rule anything out at this point. But man, I don't know. There has to be more to Omega. That's all I'm saying. There has to be more to Omega. So we shall see. We shall see as time goes by. And we don't have that much left, in all honesty. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the Bad Batch, and hopefully you guys are too. Seriously, hopefully you guys are looking forward to this. It's been a pretty decent ride. I do think it's been a pretty decent ride. So anyway, there we go. There's the Bad Batch, and yeah, we're coming to the end of the show. So we have Bad Batch next week. We should also, hopefully, if everything works out, have Rising Storm for you next week, hopefully. And then, yeah, sky's the limit. We have more comics. We've got, obviously, more Bad Batch. And then we'll be rolling through the summer and just, giving content on top of content. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's show. Feel free to, hit us up. Let us know what you're thinking about, Bad Batch, about the comics, about the books, about the show, whatever. If you'd like to have a theory read on the show, just let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So, again, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at TC Plan Podcast, or just send us an old email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. All this is down below in our, quote, show notes, unquote. But yeah, in the absence of the Darth, I don't have anything more to to elongate the show out with. So I hope that you all have a good rest of your week, and may the Force be with you.